Hey, what's up, Canada and beyond? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, grannies and gators. It is Monday, October 7th, and it's going to be a day a date, shall we say, that we're not going to be able to forget anytime soon, even though it doesn't have a whole lot of foundation in Canada. And so tonight we're going to be talking a little bit about that. I am probably not going to be popular on some of my stances on that what I'm going to be speaking to today. So if you are here, I appreciate you being here. If you're new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button and helping us get this out to the world. Not everybody is in alignment with what is going on here in Canada, whether it's politics or protest or what is going on anywhere else in the world for that matter. And we're being seriously led down a garden path, a dangerous garden path, in my opinion. So we're gonna be cutting this to an hour today, folks. I'm not going to be able to go late. So we've got quite a bit to cover. So we'll start with, as always, make sure that you guys are plugged into the Substack, guys. It is free. It is so far the only media platform other than What's Up Canada that we built ourselves that we have not had any censorship on. But the significance about the Substack is that every time we do a show here, I'm able to share documents. Able to share files, folders, that kind of stuff. There's more options for ways that I can give you guys the information that we cover on our show every day, and or Monday to Friday. And for those that are new here, yeah, this is a Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Every weekday, we do our best to uncover some corruption, connect some of the community on facts and truth, and hopefully arm people with the correct information in spite of what the mercenary or legacy media says. And Substack is one of the primary ways we're able to do that. I think we're up to 896 subscribers on Substack. It is free. Everything I do is always going to be free. There is options there that you can, if you choose, you can choose to buy a subscription. I think it's $8 a month, like 50 cents a show, and that is a great way to help me out and keep this free for everybody else. As I mentioned, whatsupcanada.org is our headquarters. This is the fastest way to get to Substack. And it's also the best way to get to our partners over at Precious Metals and over at Patriot Switch. And, you know, the thing about Patriot Switch that I loved right from the beginning is there's no supply chain interruptions when it's made in North America. I wish everything that I needed could be accessed made in Canada, but is not. But so we have some great suppliers that help us out of the United States for all of the things that we do. They are great patriots as well. So I'm really grateful to be working with Patriot Switch, and you can find them on our website as well. So into the fray, shall we say? Starting off with a little clip on Twitter for X from Mr. Sunshine Baby. And to be honest with you, I have a love-hate relationship with Mr. Sunshine Baby. He has a massive following, but it's on YouTube through multiple channels, so he will never say anything that will actually get himself into trouble beyond maybe having the odd video demonetized. So he plays within the rules of the cabal in order to stay there, but he does pay close attention to different things. So I've actually got two posts from him on X that we're going to start the day off with, and you'll find these in the Substack tomorrow if you want to go and chase into some of the following threads behind these posts. And that's sometimes where the best gold is in a post, is not necessarily in the original post, but sometimes in the thread. So we're going to start off with some of the shenanigans in Lord Farquhartville in Ottawa, and his post says, "Holy shit, prorogation on the table for Justin Trudeau. This would shut down all of Parliament until the new year. No press conferences, no debates, nothing. WTF is going on. Justin Trudeau knows his time is up, and he's going full dictator this week. So that's what Mr. Sunshine Baby posted yesterday. Today, it was, this week could be a perfect storm in Canada. The Bloc is finally going to address the fact that they did not receive what they demanded. Therefore, they will call a vote of non-confidence or vote in favor of one. Justin Trudeau isn't even in Canada, so I don't actually think he can call the government into prorogation until he is back. So for the next 2 to 3 days, Canada is in full suspense on this Bloc CPC interim team up to vote in favor of non-confidence. So I just want to dissect that for a couple of seconds. Trudeau is pulling a Zelensky and traveling around the world so he doesn't have to face what's going on in his own yard. Out there throwing away money, tens of millions of dollars in Africa for this, that, or the other thing. I think it was safe sex in Africa. Uh, off to the Philippines, promising more of your hard-earned money over there, all the while pretending that nothing is going on here in Canada. And um, I've got a clip from Brussels at the end. If there's time, I'll play it at the end. But guys, this is, if you remember me about a month ago, I kind of predicted this when the instant that Jagmeet tore up his agreement with Trudeau. I was like, okay, now here comes the extortion from the Bloc, and if they're not going to get what they want, then they're going to move towards separation, and this is all on the table for the Bloc Québécois. And I wasn't talking out of my butt then, guys. And here we are a month later. This is pretty much exactly what we're staring down the barrel of. If Quebec doesn't get what they want, they will start their own. And I don't think Canadians have a real problem with that this time around, but it's not like they think it is. And that's the part that concerns me. Canadians are very deeply deceived about the actual jurisdictions of the provinces, how they reflect upon the jurisdiction of Canada, and how the world sees the jurisdiction of Canada. And that's a lie that's been kept from Canadians for 93 years or 83 years at this point, from 19, anyway, a long freaking time. 93 years is what it is. Yes. And Quebec knows. The Quebecers know, the people in Parliament know, and they're going to come back to bite us when it serves them the best. So watch for an escalation on the Bloc Québécois. In the one statement, one of the things I found, he did a press release, and he was stunned and startled. How come there's so many English people here? And I think it's because there's probably more of us paying attention to what's going on there, and what, with a deeper understanding of the ripple effects of what is going to potentially come down the pipe. And I can't argue with you on that one comment there. Canada is the laughing stock of the world. Cannot even argue that point at this point. But it's also becoming a very dangerous place. And we're going to talk about that, and we're going to kind of lead into that a little bit softly. But I've got a clip that I'm going to play here a little bit later, guys, that is absolutely going to infuriate you like nothing you've ever seen before. It's going to make you angry. And I don't do this to make you angry. I do this because Canada needs a real rude slap in the face if we want to survive the next year of what this regime has in store. So we're going to start out with a little clip here from the Ledru 3 minutes. I like these clips because they're short and to the point. So we've got 4 minutes from this that will kind of set up what we're going to be talking about next.
Sabrina Nadeau is a very, very popular political commentator in Canada. And she joins me now. And she's here because not only is she popular, she's very smart about things. But before that, please donate, keep this on the air, and subscribe. So Sabrina, you wrote an article in The Hub recently about TFW And I talked to people, they don't even know, most people don't know what it is. So the foreign worker issue, tell me about it.
Yeah, specifically, it's the Temporary Foreign Worker Program, or TFW, and it was a program that was expanded hugely a couple years ago by the Trudeau Liberals. And the part that was expanded specifically was the low wage stream. So when we're talking about that, we're talking about everything from administrative assistants to retail workers,
Pizza
delivery, the people that serve your coffee at Tim Hortons, because of supposed labor shortages coming out of the pandemic.
Right.
The problem is that these labor shortages don't appear to have really existed, and instead this program's been used as a wage suppression scheme. So what we've seen as a result of opening up the floodgates and essentially allowing uncapped low-wage temporary foreign workers to come into the country is we've seen spiking unemployment.
Basically, what she's saying there is working Canadians are being replaced with slave labor.
Especially for youth, because it's the youth that usually go to work at Tim Hortons as
right.
their part-time job or during the summer, right? Or work in retail. I mean, the youth unemployment rates are soaring right now, which is of major concern. And then wages.
How many of you guys got kids that can't find a job, even at minimum wage?
Haven't been rising either, especially in these sectors. So we've essentially been subsidizing labor.
But those are good jobs for university students, high school students who work at Tim Hortons. There's nothing wrong with that. That shows you how to work.
There's nothing wrong with that in general. I mean, for years, you were able to be, for example, a cashier in a grocery store and make a good living off of that. I was a cashier when I was in university at a grocery store, and there were women who had been there working full-time for years, and they had good lives. They could have.
Who else did a side hustle in a grocery store? Several.
Afford a home, they could afford a family, but that doesn't exist anymore because wages haven't kept up. And the problem is, again, we've been subsidizing employers rather than forcing them to compete on wages.
So why doesn't the government stop it?
Well, that's the key question.
There are votes in there. People are going to say, oh, do you let me in the country? And thank you. All I saw recently was that they're going to try to transfer these temporary workers into full-time workers.
I think it's a combination of things. First, I think they gave into the business lobby that came crying to them wanting more workers that they could pay very low wages. Yeah. And in some cases, they could exploit as well. Because again, these are temporary workers and their visas are tied to their specific job, not the industry. So they can't leave their job if they're being abused, if they're not being paid well. There have been cases of sexual exploitation. I mean, it's a really bad deal on both sides of this issue, both for Canadians who are already in the country, but also for many of the newcomers themselves. And then on top of that, you have the liberal ideology that more immigration is always better. And it doesn't matter if it's sustainable, it will just always be better. But now we're seeing the impacts of that, whether that's on the labor market, wages, housing. I mean, it's all coming back to roost because while immigration can obviously be beneficial, and it has been a Canadian strength for years, the way that they just opened the floodgates without any thought to policy or sustainability. I mean, now we're...
Or impact.
3 minutes. And thank you very much.
So that's the 3 minutes with LeDrew. And you know, as much as they're putting a very socially or YouTube acceptable spin on it, without naming names, you know, Tim Hortons has been all over the news lately with basically their slave ring racket. And this, you know, it's funny because Tim Hortons this isn't the first time they've been busted in this type of scam. I remember in 2016, 2017, 2018, they were fighting with the government already to now allow cheap foreign labor. And yeah, you know, they're brought in, locked to the company that they're working for. If they don't want to work at Tim Hortons when they get here, they realize it's a cesspool. They want to go to work somewhere else. They cannot. They're sent home. I had a friend who was stuck in exactly that same situation. And they're not the only ones. Lululemon, another huge company, and the government gave them an exemption. Why? Cronyism. And this is a big problem in Canada. You know, it's not the working people's fault that the cost has gone up so high that companies want to hire slave labor from other countries. That's the government's fault. And now they're punishing the people by allowing and pacifying the companies by allowing them to bring in slave labor, or basically slave labor. So next up is Corey Morgan, and talking about migration. As he walked past the pro-Hamas, and this is yesterday, pro-Hamas hate fest in downtown Calgary. I went by the Martha Cohen Theater and Jack Singer Concert Hall. I couldn't help but wonder, why is there nothing here named after Palestinian philanthropists? Generous people that like to name stuff after themselves and give the communities money. What, in fact, have they brought here aside from hatred and an adherence to a medieval era concept of human rights? Now, this is dancing on the borderlines of what they call Islamophobia. And I have been kind of berated quite a bit by people the last couple of days because, oh, I just don't understand, or I'm taking the bait on this. Well, I have a real problem with what's going on in Canada, and I don't believe in this made up oxymoron term called Islamophobia. There is no such thing as an irrational or unreasonable fear of Islam. So this is my question becomes, today is a year that Canadians have been held hostage and terrorized by migrants from terrorist regimes that are here fighting for other countries. So I read a statement, and I'm going to adopt it like a brand. I might even put it on my forehead, and it goes kind of along the lines as, support the country you're in. If you don't support this country, support the country you're in, or go to the country you support. If you support Palestine, go to Palestine. If you support Ukraine, go to Ukraine. Whatever it is not our problem, and Canadians are being terrorized. People are defending, they're attacking the Jews. They're attacking the Jews. They're attacking the Jews. What happens when Islam doesn't have Jews to attack anymore, guys? Think about that one. So here I have these Christians telling me, oh, it's, they're killing all of these people in Palestine. Well, I'm afraid to say it, but Palestine chose Hamas, Lebanon chose Hezbollah, and Israel chose to fight with all 7 of them at once. So at this point, it is no longer our responsibility or our duty to tolerate terrorism in our own streets. And if anybody doesn't believe that's what's going on, listen to this. We don't want 2 states. So this, guys, is not a peaceful demonstration. This is a call to genocide. They do not want a 2-state solution. They do not want peace. They do not want an end to a conflict. They want the eradication of Israel, and they expect us to defund Israel and to decouple everything that Canada has in common with Israel. Now, here's the thing. Is there problems in Israel? Is there corruption? Is there criminals involved in that faith? Yes. But you know what? The difference is, you're not going to find Jews walking up and down the street calling for genocide of Canadians or anybody else for that matter. That's not the way they roll. I feel safe with a Jew next door. I do not feel safe with these people next door. So at this point, I'm going to say it again. Support your country, support the country you're in, or go to the country you support. Our country is built on Christian Judeo values, not genocide. So Anthony Housefather here, who is a member of Parliament for Mount Royal, Député de Mont Royal, says this message, and he's correct. This message is here is not for a ceasefire, not for a two-state solution. The message is clear. No Jewish state wanted. The chant is for the disappearance of Israel. Can anyone imagine people marching on the street demanding the destruction of any other country? And this has been going on for a year, and it is escalating. And tonight they are outside the Jewish consulate in Toronto, I believe. And this is not going to stop until blood is shed. Why? Because these people don't believe in anything else. They only have one 1,400-year-old message of death and destruction. So when they're saying from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, it's not a catchy slogan. That is absolutely a political message. It is a call. It is a jihad. And they won't think twice about using your heads as soccer balls on the street if they think that they can get away with it. Now, am I saying that all Muslims are like this? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But some Muslims came here to get away from exactly that. They're not the ones that are out in the streets there calling for this. This is where we need to make remigration great again and send them home. They're clearly telling you they don't want Israel to exist. There's no room for Jews in Jerusalem or anywhere else for these guys. And Brian Lilly is 100% correct when he says that. They have no room for Jews anywhere in the world. And here, they will not stop until they are stopped. And they are, can you imagine what would have happened to the convoy people if they'd have tried this shit? I mean, they were peaceful. All they wanted was their rights respected, and they got trampled by horses. But these clowns, they get free reign. They get sanctioned opportunities to terrorize Canadians. What happens again, I'll ask you, when they run out of Jews? Guess what? They don't stop. 1,400 years of history should have told us that. Canadians want me to bleed for them. Oh, the poor people of Palestine. Well, guess what? We have to live with the consequences of the leadership that we have. We have the right to fight that. If they didn't believe in Hamas, it's up to them to get rid of Hamas there. If they don't like what's going on, stop supporting a terrorist organization. Stop supporting Hezbollah. We can stop our government from sending weapons there, and we should. We absolutely should. But should we, if they continue to have this lifelong permanent jihad against anything that isn't Islamic? No, it's time to end this. This is not Canada's problem. We should not be dealing with it on our streets. And this is the last thing on earth that we should be tolerating in Canada. I'm going to play this 2-minute and 30-second clip, but I'm going to fume through the entire clip because this just makes my blood boil. And this isn't even the clip I'm talking about that's going to piss you guys off a little later here, guys. This is just the first one that's going to piss you off if you weren't pissed off enough already. But Brian Lilly says, is this the new rule, or is this only the rule for this cause? I worked on the Hill for more than a decade. I've seen cops keep counter-protesters separated, but never seen them say you aren't allowed on the Hill if you don't support a cause. This officer is absolutely wrong. This is not a police officer. This is a parliamentary security officer.
You were not permitted on. Yeah, that was before you admitted being against this cause. Yeah, he did. He said he's not a supporter of Palestine and doesn't. Do we want to rewind the video and see? Well,
it doesn't matter whether he supports Palestine or not. This is his country, not Palestine's. I can't turn up the volume anymore, guys. Sorry.
You said it to me. My colleague understood. Yeah, except Palestine is a state, but doesn't mean I'm anti-Palestinian people. You don't recognize. You said you don't support Palestine. I don't recognize Palestine as a state. You said if he took the shoe. You told me if I were to take the shirt off. Well, that was before you change your story.
Well, all I want to do, well, look, I'm not wearing anything that's inflammatory.
Hold on. Then at the end, right before I left, I said you were not to go on this side.
I used to think this officer was okay.
Free speech, infringement of free speech.
Then after, no, I'm not.
Yeah, this is very tyrannical.
You can believe that if you wish.
Well, it is.
Other side.
So be
He can believe the officer is being tyrannical and infringing on his rights, but he can't come on if he doesn't believe in Palestine. So this guy is literally now a Palestinian enforcer on Parliament Hill.
On this side, do you need to declare your support for Palestine?
That
Is that a
is-
prerequisite to be over here?
Well, you declared that you're against it.
No, he never declared he was against. No, he didn't.
It doesn't matter if he did declare he was against Palestine.
Saying he doesn't recognize Palestine as a state is not declaring he's against Palestine. You guys are.
I have to challenge you on this one. I think this is hate baiting. Don't take the bait. What makes it hate to disagree? Why is it automatically hate if we disagree with Islam or Palestine or any damn thing? Why can we not just agree to disagree without it being labeled hate? This is there is no such thing as hate speech. There is speech that people might hate, but there is no such thing as hate speech. So I will not buy that hate speech argument. The same as the Islamophobia argument, the same as the residential school denialism. It's all just speech people don't like. And if you can't have conversations that people don't like, you will always be in a left turn. You will never be able to have a discussion. This officer is enforcing foreign nations.
No, but I'm calling it as I see it. It's an infringement of free speech.
Oh, the law enforcement is enforcing hate speech or protecting hate speech, actually, by protecting the Palestinians and not letting opposing opinions.
Should it be allowed in the public area? You have to show your support for Palestine.
No, you just proved it to me and said very clearly you are against Palestine.
So I'm not allowed in certain public areas if I have certain political opinions.
Right now, today, no.
And that's it's a public area.
That to me is not just an abandonment of office. That is actually a crime. That officer, in my opinion, has committed a crime. If we're not to oppose this behavior, we're just supposed to watch the takeover of our country and sit down, shut up? I don't think so. They're going to be calling a whole lot of us haters real soon. And now this one here is from Toronto. On Saturday, I believe it was, but this is a result of allowing hate and terrorism to fester like a cancer over our country. It may be too late to turn this around. Prepare accordingly. So this is from Toronto. They've taken over the streets calling for a repeat of October 7th. Yes, in Canada, they're calling for a repeat. This is exactly what they were calling for in Montreal when we had Natasha Montreal on. This is only going to escalate, and they are just totally empowered when they've got officers protecting and standing up for them. This isn't Tehran, folks. This is Toronto, Yonge and Dundas. Long live the Antifada. Sorry, Chris, if this is old news for you. There's plenty of other channels to watch too. This isn't no old news for everybody, and this is part of the news. So yeah, this is 2 days old. Sorry. the point is, these people are getting away with calling for genocide and leveraging hate 7 days a week now and asking for a repeat of October 7th here in Canada. And like, I'm going to keep asking, and I'm going to keep asking what happens when they run out of Jews, right? Then it's Christians. I mean, Catholics, Jews, Christians, we're all on their hit list. So there's a lot of terrorist supporters emailing Brian Nelly to tell him they are upset at being called terrorist supporters. Well, that's exactly what they are. Then in their emails, they go on to defend and show support for Hamas and Hezbollah, which are terrorists. What are those two groups? Banned terrorist entities in Canada. And this is, I'm not sure if this, I think this is the same clip where, but it's again, it's the same thing. Can you imagine a bunch of us Canadians if we, during the convoy in Ottawa had been running around saying, I don't know, pick one. Let's genocide South Africa. Let's genocide Nigeria. Let's genocide US. It doesn't matter. These guys are terrorists and they are taking over our streets. And this is the one that's really going to piss you off, because this is what's coming to Canada. This clip was in France. I have to make that clear. But that doesn't mean it hasn't already happened here or won't happen here. This is, it's only a matter of time. He just hit that kid in a park. Watch it again. It doesn't matter if you're 90 or 19 months. These people that are coming here, this isn't hate speech. They've got no fucking business being here. This kid's lucky. This family's lucky. He's lucky they didn't pull out a knife. In this particular case, they did arrest this guy, but guaranteed he's out in 5 minutes. Right? This is what they're importing. This is what they're using to outnumber us. And what are they doing? The government is meeting to discuss why having a treasonous MP is acceptable. Noops. No, it's to discuss why making memes is criminal or is unacceptable. Impact of disinformation and of misinformation on the work of parliamentarians. They want to shut me up. That's what they're meeting about in this particular session today, or tomorrow, I should say. This is scheduled for tomorrow, October 8th. This is all of our platforms. That's what the government's worried about. The government's worried about shutting me down, shutting platforms down, not about actually protecting Canadians in any capacity. And here's just another example of what they're willing to do to destroy Canada. So this is from Sheila Gunn Reid. The clip is 41 seconds, but I'll read what Sheila wrote. Oh my God, listen to this testimony from Chris Livum of Arctic Fire Safety. Parks Canada ordered hydrants for Jasper with a different thread on the side ports than the thread used by all of Alberta and BC municipalities. They ordered parts that wouldn't work. They only had 7 adapters available for said hydrants. Our crews observed Petro-Canada and other mobile trailer park burned down and could not engage due to not being able to connect to the fire hydrants.
Prior to the fire, Parks Canada ordered hydrants for Jasper with a different thread on the side ports than the thread used by all municipalities in Alberta, British Columbia. They only had 7 adapters that were available for hydrants to go from their thread to BAT. Our crews observed Petro-Canada and mobile trailer park burned down and could not engage due to being able to connect to hydrants. Our crew were credited by a captain with the Jasper Fire Department for saving what's left of the downtown because they were at a hydrant that did have an adapter and were able to engage infringements on buildings. No secondary water sources were staged for when the hydrants would go down. The lesson learned from past WUI events is that it's normal practice to have water supplies pre-positioned. Prior to the park's fire,
So that isn't, there's no way that they can make me believe that that's incompetence. Now, these firefighters were able to save parts of the city that they could, or parts of Jasper that they could access, because Joe Bow hadn't screwed that up, or that part of it up. And this whole thing, in the States, what's going on there, I can't believe that that's Mother Nature. Florida is about to get lambasted. I know what that's going to be like. I wrote out Hurricane Irma in Florida, very close to Cape Canaveral. The most unbelievable thing I've ever experienced in my life, and they're getting hit again. And I do believe that it is 100% manufactured. And this, so I'm kind of racing through this here. We're probably going to be done a few minutes early tonight, guys. But yeah, the same scenario has happened in Nova Scotia, BC, Alberta. This is all about destroying the rural places to drive us into the cities. Yeah, pretty crazy. But this is about something even more diabolical. Tom Rouser says, "Sick, just sick." Give me a thumbs up if you can see this. So this is, according to Google, a study published in December of 2022 issue of the American Journal of Transplant finds Canada leading the world in harvesting organs from those who receive medical assistance in dying. The whole MAID program was created to clean up the mess. They knew that they would be forcing Canadians, proud Canadians, to live in absolute poverty and devastation. And they opened a way out for them, make them sick and offer them a checkout and save their organs and use it to balance the budget. Guys, we have a government that is stuck on murder. This is a positive plus in the liberal progressive minds. They have literally monetized, yes, Tammy, they have literally monetized, industrialized the final solution for desperate Canadians in despair. Our government and our tolerance of our government is no better than the Nazis. It's no better than Joseph Mengele and the wholesale slaughter, murder of Canadians for profit. That's what our government does. That is the government of Canada. That is how the world sees the government of Canada. All my life, I grew up hearing war stories and, people saying, how could the Germans do it? How can the Germans do it? We need to ask ourselves, how can Canadians keep doing it? Right? It's, when I talk about these stories, Laurie, it's not from a state of hopelessness. It's from a state of anger, hoping that people will rise in hope that, we can't tolerate this anymore. I hope people are getting to the point where they cannot tolerate a government that believes that murder as an industry is a solution for everything. They are making people's lives so miserable that, and people are so beat down, disillusioned, abused, and demoralized that they don't have enough in them to help anybody else, and they don't want to ask for help. Now, here's a comment from Tom Marazzo is, again, I'll have to get him back on the show again soon. He's got a new project, kind of interesting. But Israel, Palestine, Russia, Ukraine, not Canada's problem or our responsibility to solve. If we don't start solving Canadian problems, there's going to be no Canada left to steal from for the other problems. We didn't make those problems. Yes, our little Miss Muffet on her tuffet eating her curds and whey and Lord Farquaad fancy socks have been a part of that problem. But again, that is up to us to resolve. Our leadership is our problem to resolve, right? But that over there, that is not our problem to resolve. After everything we've all experienced and learned regarding these constant government and media lies, my only fascination with these two wars is how people can still be so tribal in their black and white views. When I get told that I should support Palestine, oh, because it's our fault. It's not my fault. And it's nobody I know's fault. And we shouldn't have to bleed for their problems. If they want to choose terrorism as a governing model, that's their problem, not ours. It does not need to be in Canada. I will not be, dismissed at the horrors that are going because of the horrors going. Guess what? They're all a bunch of murderers. They all love nothing more than fighting. This Netanyahu is an absolute raving lunatic who's manifested this, trying to fulfill their own damn prophecy. Guess what? Not our problem, not our responsibility. The government and the media lie all the time. We still believe them when it comes to tribalism. Only believe what you can verify, influence, or control. If not, question everything, especially the source of the information. I could not agree with Tom any more than that. It's not our problem. And guess what? If we weren't such bleeding hearts, they wouldn't be trying to make it our problem. But they're just bloody street hustlers in suits, manipulating us for their gain.
Then the most.
I'm gonna play this whole clip just because we've got a little extra time here tonight. 9 minutes and 30 seconds, and then we'll chew on it a little bit later or after, as soon as it's done.
Yves Francois Blanchette, an unlikely hero or an opportunistic villain.
Why is there so many English people here?
Why? Why would so many English people be interested?
Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a great day. Well, a couple of days ago, Yves Francois Blanchette, the leader of the Bloc, held a scrum outside of the House of Commons. He seemed to actually be speaking for Canadians, not just Quebecers. Let's go take a look at some of what he had to say.
Mr. Blanchette, why are you still willing to work with the Liberal government when they voted down this motion? Is that not sending a signal of some sort?
Okay, let's understand things as they are. The government, I will learn that word one day, did not have the spine to provide us and Canadians and Quebecers with a clear answer. First, the Parliament voted clearly in favor of the motion. Then the government said that the ministers could not vote in favor of the motion, but that this vote would be free for other members of Parliament affiliated with the Liberals. And then they said that's because it's a procedure thing that prevented them from making a clear decision. So they
a procedure thing.
Get some more time and to keep not deciding about anything. They might hope that they will go further than October 29th. They will not. So they have until a few days from now to go on with the royal recommendation. And if they do not, we will start as rapidly as next week to speak with other oppositions in order to get ready to go into an election. And I will tell you both in English and French that it is noticeable that the NDP voted in favor of this motion, and that they could have eventually to assume the consequences of such a vote if we get to the next step without the government providing us and Canadians and Quebecers with what we want.
Just want to clarify in English, the October 29th deadline is still in effect. You're still giving the Liberals time to, give the royal recommendation.
What I
despite the vote.
said at the very beginning.
I'm gonna pause this. You guys got some great comments that I have to address. I really don't like Quebec politicians. I can completely empathize with that, and you know what? Neither do I. But it kind of comes down to what Murray said here. Thanks, Wayne, for watching the news, so I don't have to. And that's really the gist of it, guys. I know that people cannot stand to listen to some of these clowns that literally, yes, talk out of their butts, that are fools, absolutely full of it, that are just clowns. But at the end of the day, if we don't listen to the people we don't like, we'll never know what they're saying. And then how can we actually argue them effectively, right? We can't. So it's Ali's dad. I don't care what they do on YouTube. They're not on the streets here in Canada calling for mass murder and genocide. I don't care what they do on YouTube. Every single one of us has a choice to choose the next channel, right? So 100% he is a narcissistic POS. But at the end of the day, as far as his party members go, he's doing exactly what he is supposed to do, get as much out of the corrupt government as he possibly can, right? And no, I really can't stand listening to these BS guys either, but unfortunately, somebody has to, so I bite that bullet.
Beginning of this is if
But did you catch that part at the beginning? How come there's so many English speakers?
Liberals do not give
Surprise, dude.
We demand on behalf of 4 million Canadians and 1 million Quebecers and supply management. We will start discussing with opposition.
100% he is. My question is, why isn't every other premier?
If in the meantime, it becomes clear that it is impossible to achieve that, we will start those discussions. But what we saw today is not by itself a proof that it's impossible. They could decide, notwithstanding the motion, to give the royal recommendation to C31 mine. It's still possible. So let's be fair with our commitment, even if it's quite clear that it's not good news and that electoral alert is a bit higher and people should start taking pictures.
Several cabinet ministers have come out and said this is bad policy. It's cabinet that has to give the royal recommendation. Are you being honest with yourself about the chances of the bill actually passing?
Yes, I am. And I think I'm even honest with you. I'm not certain at all that this bill will pass. Not certain at all. But I said we will give this government one chance to do something right for many Quebecers and many Canadians. If they do not see.
I want to pause just for Cheryl's comment here, because she's right, guys. I know we got a lot of people that follow on Facebook. It's the only place that they follow, and they're missing out on so much. So much of our community has moved to Rumble and to Substack and to X that there's almost I don't want to leave people behind on Facebook, but it's getting difficult. We've been streaming to Facebook for a few weeks again now, but I saw people coming into the chat on Rumble saying, "Oh, Facebook isn't streaming it." Well, that tells me that we are streaming it, but they are making sure that you can't see it. So if you are by chance catching this show on Facebook, please get over onto Rumble as well. The link is in the chat. Make sure you get subscribed over there. You will get notifications, but please don't get left behind. I don't want to leave any good Canadians behind.
Is the opportunity, then the most probable scenario will go forward. We will start discussing in order to have an election and compose a new parliament. Many things may happen. Nobody says that the NDP will not start supporting the government again. We don't know that. The Prime Minister might decide to prorogue the Parliament. He might even have a blip of leadership and decide to go into election himself.
And I may even be honest with you. He does have a bit of a sense of humor. And his comment that Trudeau may have a blip of leadership and call an election himself, well, that's kind of funny too, because most of us don't believe Trudeau has that much leadership within him.
So the chances that our bills are really adopted and implemented are not so good, but I keep fighting in order to have this done because that's the right thing to do.
Even though he only represents one province, and I am not impressed with a party that only represents one province being in the federal parliament, but
Doesn't belong
he is a
there.
very skilled politician, and he may be backing the NDP into a corner. You see, the NDP are in favor of this bill, and there's no way they would ever vote for anything that Poilievre does because, well, Poilievre is kind of harsh on Jagmeet Singh. Not that he doesn't deserve that, but if you want people to vote with you or to help you out, it's better to befriend them than to call them out for the scoundrels that they are. The Bloc, however, they have an opportunity to mend that.
I think there's some folks in the freedom industrial complex, freedom movement, that could take a tip from that. It's better to work with people going in the same direction than to keep fighting with them.
Bridge. And
man, I'm getting sick of the soap opera of the freedom people sometimes. Talk about, losing your eye off the ball.
Then bring the Conservatives in.
Are you surprised they got Conservatives to support you? Do you now expect them to go for top-up pensions?
I must say two things. First, they supported this bill before, so they were simply coherent, and they have a slight tendency to vote against the government. So maybe they expected that the government would vote the way they did, and they supported our motion, and that's something good. And it even proves that sometimes the Conservatives vote with the Bloc without this being a conspiracy between Conservatives and the Bloc and something terrible that happened. The government suggested that the association organizations that came to support our motion yesterday and the bill C-319 were part of this conspiracy or naive, which is not a very nice thing to do.
He does rightfully point out that the Conservatives tend to vote against the Liberals, and they did support this bill from the beginning. Now, this may have been the plan of the Bloc all along. Make some demands, back the NDP into a corner, and then become the heroes by being the ones to take down the government. As you can see from this next clip, Yves Francois Blanchet knows that he is in the driver's seat.
The numbers being what they are.
I like the way he uses the term driver's seat. There's that analogy from the Celtic Canuck. This whole charade, this peacock song and dance from all these guys, them just squabbling over who gets to drive the bus over the cliff while we're locked in the trunk. Right now, this guy's in the driver's seat of the bus.
We might want to go into election also, but we do want to get something to those people between 65 and 74 years old and to producer under supply management.
So the discussion on the Hill after this press scrum was whether or not the Bloc could actually bring down the government if the NDP would vote with them, or if it would even get that far. Many of the experts believe that if the Liberals believe the Bloc is about to make a move and that it would be successful in bringing down the government, that the Liberals would decide to prorogue Parliament in order to avoid that. Indeed, Justin Trudeau does want to stay in power, at least until the next election, so that his son can vote for him, which is kind of a ridiculous reason, but it is Justin Trudeau. Wouldn't it be funny if his son decided to vote Conservative? Next week is shaping up to be very eventful. and some major things may happen in Canadian politics. But that's just my opinion. I'd love to know what you think. Put your comments down below. And while you're at it, please like this.
All right, so that's kind of the last of the clips that I had there. But at the end of the day, watch this slippery fish. He is absolutely, and and I'm not even talking about the bill. You know, it's his job. It's his job to get the most that he can out of it. I mean, it's the same as contract negotiators, right? So he is doing what his mandate is. He is, doing what he's elected to do, and he might actually be, good, better, otherwise, the only one in Ottawa that actually is doing what he is elected to do. I just gotta bring this one up, Brenda, where it's said from Tom, verify your facts, don't believe anything. David Dixon thinks that I am Illuminati and I'm a Freemason too. So again, read everything, get your own verification. I don't profess to be the 100% final word on anything or everything, but I give people things to think about and thought-provoking conversations. So tonight, I'm going to come back to support the country you're in, or go to the country you support. And that goes for all of the freedom people. Start supporting this damn country, not just your personal egos, your little soap operas, your little dramas. And you don't have to be a Christian to understand that if we don't defend Christianity in the church, is what we 113 burned down. Who's defending that? And when they're out of Jews to attack, you know what's coming next. So yeah, I expected this to trigger some people. I hope that people kind of find a little bit of courage to go with the information and the action. Getting ahead of this. This is, I wish I could scream 24 hours a day, 7 days a week about the things that are coming so that people wouldn't be so blindsided, but I can only do what I can do. And this is what the whole point and purpose of everything that I do is to try and help people at least get on the right path so that they can make educated decisions. Yeah, I've known David for a while. I gave him a spot on my show before he threw me under the bus with false allegations. And this is the kind of crap that causes other people, these self-anointed experts. There's another one who, because I interviewed a guy, now all of a sudden I am Diagolon, and these guys have literal, smear campaigns going on against me across this country. And this has been going on for a long time. As soon as people don't like something that I'm talking about, well, then I must be the enemy. I must be controlled opposition. I must be bought off. I must be this, that, or the other thing. So doesn't matter who you watch, double check it. If you're watching this, triple check it. If you got more, send that to me, but just to take somebody at verbatim, that's kind of how we end up in this mess, right? Yeah. So on that note, guys, I love you all. Stay strong, stay mighty. And like I said, remember, support the country you're in, or go to the country you support. That's going to be a battle cry for a while. I know, Diagolon economy. That's my thinking too. But these people have audiences. They have reach. Some of them have more reach than I do. Not for the same reason. They have reach because they aren't actually ever covering the truth, and actually aren't ever actually doing something the government doesn't like. They're rage recruiting or hate recruiting, or if you're not with me, then you must be the enemy. So that's kind of this tribalism that Mark Marazzo spoke of there earlier. And that's something we've got to grab our own brains. And if you don't like something, just walk on by. That's what we used to do in the old days, right? So on that note, that's it for tonight. I have a meeting to get to. I love you all. We'll be back same time, same place again tomorrow. Don't forget and make sure you double check that subscribe button. Get all of the extras at whatsupcanada.substack.com. If you like the little bling, the little silver Spartan helmet, you can find that at Sherwin by Design. There you go, Sherwin, a little plug. Somebody bought me some coffees a couple of days ago. You can find a button to do that on the Substack as well. If you have something important, you need to reach me, you need to connect, contact at whatsupcanada.org is the way to do it. We are not Trudeau funded or corporate sponsor funded. This is completely a community effort, top to bottom, inside and out. And thank you for those that help me stay in this fight and keep it free for everybody, whether it's me or another independent journalism that is doing the good work, giving you the information you need to make educated decisions. Now more than ever, support them. And that is the best way to do that for helping this platform and keeping us free for everybody. And I'm going to play you out with my favorite partner, because just who doesn't like having Christmas every month, right? So a couple of times a month, I get my orders from my North American manufactured made goods and products. And I hope you give them a, check them out too. All right. Tomorrow, who knows what it'll be, but it'll probably be something thought-provoking or triggering. Either which way, we'll see you 7 o'clock Eastern tomorrow.